everyone, Storm Akima here. Welcome back. I am about to work on my Starlord mask again, video 2, to show you how to go about working with Wonderflex. Well overdue, here we go. So if you haven't checked out my previous video of the beginning stages of this project, I included a link below in the description. I'm going to continue similar techniques and add more convex and concave shapes to the form. Look how strong and direct a Wonderflex bond is. No glue or other materials are needed. Heated and pressed together properly makes such a great bond. You'll have to reheat it to even attempt to take it back apart. Air holes are important for breathing, BTW, especially for a thick plastic mask right against your face. The more air you have, the more fun you will have cosplaying. And here it is. Oh no, what happened? Ah! I used my soldering iron to cut through the thick layers of Wonderflex. My friend's nose was touching the nose vent, and I immediately knew that would chafe in the long run. Comfort is definitely ideal. My workstation always has a clean piece of wood to work on, with a blanket underneath now to absorb mallet impaction. My project, my mallet, heat gun, edge smoother, aka butter knife, and picture references. Everything is here, so we're good to get started. Here are some Wonderflex scraps I already cut off the helmet. They're 4 layers thick like every other piece I did so far. Great thickness for strength and not too heavy. Never throw out your scraps because you can always find purpose for them in the future. And it may motivate you to think more outside the box. I can show you what I mean by that in another video. So to recap my favorite technique, I'll demonstrate the main basic steps to building up Wonderflex. This piece will be the top side trim. The right side I already made, so here we go with the left. All numbered 1 through 4, the amount of layers I like to combine. And we'll go back to this in a moment. Here are 2 layered scraps that will work perfectly for the cheeks, next to the nose vent. I'm eyeballing how it will look attached. Always have a good idea on your next step. Never jump into a project blindfolded because in most cases it'll end up being a waste of time and money for you. Small rough edges can always be smoothed out, so don't be too concerned about that. The extra bumpy Wonderflex tends to work well for excess adhesion. I always like that. Cold thick layers take a while to heat up, so be patient and keep your heat gun moving to heat up the Wonderflex evenly. Peel off the hot Wonderflex carefully and drape it over your mold. Press and smooth however you like, then put it in the freezer to accelerate the cooling process. That's so much faster and that piece will be ready in 2 to 5 minutes tops. While that's cooling, I went ahead and reheated the sides of the nose vent piece, or however you want to name it. Have the heat gun tilted away from the main base. The goal is to heat up the sides one at a time, then mold it into position. The actual vent part is perfect, and I don't want to compromise the shape. The wood board was convenient to help me maintain a flat surface while changing the angle. Again, eyeballing the 2 bent angles to make sure it's balanced. Needs a little bit more work. And there we go. Much better. The inside is pretty rough. That'll be smoothed out later. Visualizing the face coming together before bonding Wonderflex to itself. A good pointer again is to only work with Wonderflex on its own. No glue or other materials to help bond or attach other pieces together. Mixing materials right away will only cause you problems and limit your options the deeper you are in a project. Don't do it. Some details change over time where I think more outside the box and I decide to change certain aspects to make a project more interesting. Just like drawing with a build-up sketch, I create the understructure of a character with basic shapes, then refine to more organic, then finally to the finer details once everything looks balanced. Once I'm confident all the right adjustments have been made, I heated up the edges of both sides and attached. Constantly turning your piece will give you an idea on how it looks all around. Don't concentrate at one point because it's easy to miss a horrible angle if you're not aware. The heat gun should be your main tool for bonding Wonderflex together. A soldering iron is only for minor detailing and reinforcing a bond, and cutting the crud out of a really big, thick piece of Wonderflex. Looking good so far. Here's a demonstration of reinforcing a bond with a soldering iron. This part I always do in a well-ventilated area. The iron melts the Wonderflex into an almost liquid state and gives off an odor. So be safe to your body and wear a respirator and work outside for this part if you can. Don't burn yourself either. Have a cheap soldering iron that you only use for Wonderflex. You can find them for under $10 online. It's worth it. Use a separate one for actual wire soldering. I keep laughing to myself how messy the back of this looks. All in good time, it'll look a lot nicer in 1 to 2 more videos from now. Oh, and make sure the iron base isn't resting anywhere it shouldn't. Always be aware. You are so focused, your arm and your wrist gets tired, you may start to lean on a different area for support and ruin that spot. Oh no, don't do it. Pay attention. Heat it up. Attach. Make sure it's where you want it, then press together. Okay, my creative intuition told me to scrap my original idea on the back of the helmet and lighten it up a bit, as you already know. I used my trusty soldering iron to do the job. It does butcher the edges quite a bit, all fixable though. I want to add a more spherical dimension to the back since it's so flat and boring. If you're not happy how something looks, change it early on because just adding a lot of detail only hides mistakes and never fixes them, especially for main parts. You don't want something lopsided. You'll be unhappy. Finally, to the main technique, cut out your shapes, have them labeled. My main template is the first layer. Heat shiny side up until flat and wet, meaning adhesive in Wonderflex is glistening. Add on next layer, tack it down into place, mallet down evenly, then repeat the process. Smooth the edges with a tool of your choice. I prefer my butter knife. Some edges are harder to smooth out, so I'll do as much as I can this way and take care of the rest later. Carefully peel up and place on the mold. Let cool. I extended the sides with scrap pieces since I changed my idea and decided to hack off a lot of the back portion. There are consequences to major actions, but I already knew what I wanted to do, so I was prepared for that. Filling in gaps with extra pieces. It's pretty easy to heat up pre-bonded scraps and cut into them. The edges are already smooth that way. You may wonder why I don't just combine 4 huge layers of Wonderflex, then just cut that. But that way is just so much harder. Smaller scales give you more control and makes a better bond. All these crazy seams you're seeing will be filled in or covered by other trims soon, so no worries. Here you can see some frayed edges. The fabric in the Wonderflex tends to pop out when cut. Some heat and pressing will smooth these out. Never sand Wonderflex, it's very annoying. Adding layers adds strength to weak points, as we all know. Now I'm going to recycle this monstrosity. Takes time and a lot of heat for a piece this size. All that effort is well worth it for the easy shapes I can just cut out and mold at this point. Sweet. Let's work on the ears. Same steps, cut out label pieces and bond together. Super fast speed. Certain detailing I'll press into the Wonderflex early to help guide my soldering iron and other sculpting tools later on. Visualizing. I plan on creating and attaching a couple panels to the back portion before attaching the ears, so let's do that first. Sometimes I use a paper template so I don't waste a sheet of Wonderflex. Pick a card, any card. Same routine that gets the job done. Sketching some guidelines. Pressing in guidelines. Peel off and mold. And look, the back edge is very smooth. Yay! Angling the heat gun away, concentrating only on the edges for a couple minutes. Once soft enough, I cut off the rough trim with scissors, very smooth and little to no fraying. Interior roughness will be filled in with a different material later, then sanded. Again with visualizing. Once confident, heat and bond. Any extra Wonderflex underneath will be melted and reinforced with a soldering iron later. I like to say that apparently. So you may ask, why start with such big shapes if you're only going to cut them down? Isn't that a waste of Wonderflex? My answer is yes and no. I do change my mind a lot during a main construction, but I build off of shapes. I need the initial basic shapes to stay true to form, to stay symmetrical. It works like a 3D sketch in my mind. And when you add other curves and planes to it, the main structure keeps everything unified. Sometimes towards the end, there may be areas that are no longer useful that I will decide to cut out so there's no extra weight. Strengthening weak points, always a plus. All right, it's coming together nicely. The extra shapes are breaking up the awkward garbage pail shape. Woo! Seams will be filled or covered soon. Probably the next video. The back of the helmet will have a compartment for the battery pack. Not sure if I'll make hinges yet. We'll see next time. Now let's work on the ears. Heating up scraps again and cutting out rectangles to form the sides. Look how hot this is. Be careful. Owie. It hurt. Always make the illusion that something's solid. Having hollow forms are terrific for weight management. Starlord's helmet is going to be probably as heavy as a lighter motorcycle helmet. If you go over 4 layers of Wonderflex, it will significantly have more weight. But on the plus side, I made a joke, I made it funny, it'll be even stronger. Looking good. Let's reinforce in lightning speed. Heat both sides. Tack in place. Once confident, press and press hard. I like to visualize everything. For many, I know that's scary. Measuring is fantastic. So if you'd rather do that, please do. It may be easier for you. Visualizing always works great for me. I wanted to add a lot more to this tutorial, but it was taking way too long, and I wanted to upload this portion for you all sooner than later. This should definitely keep you busy for a little while at least. Remember to always have fun and always be safe. He's crazy. I do plan on making about 3 more videos with my Starlord mask. Next one is going to be even more detailing, which will be important. I try to do it as fast as I can, but I can only do so much. I do have a full-time job on top of this, so I can only do this maybe a couple times a week. for a few hours. We always have friends over and family. I'm just being silly. I do plan on smoothing out everything. I think I'm gonna go with epoxy sculpt. I usually go with something more around the spackle direction to actually smooth out the Wonderflex, but I think I might go epoxy sculpt this time. After the group mask, I love the stuff. It actually adheres well onto the Wonderflex, so I don't think it'll chip off as much once you put paint on top. Thank you again for watching, and thank you for subscribing. Thumbs up if you like, thumbs down if you don't, and we'll go from there. Until next time, have a good day. Epic win.